Well, good afternoon. I'm Lieutenant Fields with ReEntry TV. Welcome to our program tonight. Tonight I have with me Mr. Steven Holloway. He has his own organization, and the name of his organization is PACE Youth Program.
Yes, sir.
Did I get that correct?
Yes, sir, you did.
And happy anniversary to
Thank you.
24 years today of being in the ministry.
Yes, sir.
Because it's definitely a ministry.
Yes, February 19, 1995.
All right, congratulations. Mr. Holloway, can you tell us a little bit about your organization?
Yes, I can. The program is designed specifically for families of the incarcerated with kids ages 10 to 17. I started back in 95 working with juvenile offenders in their families, and God has a sense of humor.
Absolutely.
I didn't want to work with juvenile offenders.
Okay.
But once I got in there and I understood what I was dealing with, because most of the kids that were incarcerated, parents were incarcerated at the same time.
Wow, wait a minute.
Yeah.
So what you're saying, like today's day,
Yeah.
what is the statistics for someone being incarcerated that their children will also be incarcerated?
The statistic says that children of the incarcerated are 6 times more likely to be incarcerated themselves. That's by the National Institute of Corrections.
Okay.
That says that. And just last year in Harris County alone, 125,000 children were identified
Really?
with parental incarceration.
Wow.
And we're not even talking about, that's just Harris County. We're not
Right.
even talking about the system.
Right.
Texas, Department of Criminal Justice, 144,000 that are incarcerated
Yeah.
today.
Yeah.
If they just had one kid, that's
It
enough.
has its own city.
Its own city,
Yeah.
its own life. So,
So what type of services do you offer?
actually, what we offer is life skills.
Okay.
Teach our kids how to make better decisions, how to effectively communicate, and also deal with their anger. I believe if we can deal with those 3 things or master those three things, everything else falls in place.
Okay.
If I can handle my anger, if I can make a decision and properly communicate what's going on, then I can make goals. I can set goals.
Right.
I can go to college. I can do those kind of things. But if I don't have those in place, then most likely I'm going to end up getting myself.
It's amazing that you mentioned the anger part. Child, parent that is not there can automatically cause some anger, and they start making decisions from that position because they see everyone else, father there, mother there at school,
Absolutely.
and theirs are not showing up for Parent Day.
Yeah.
So you all have licensed anger management?
Yes. It's a 12-month program.
Okay.
Where it's like going to church, every Bible study every Wednesday night. So we meet every Tuesday night from 6 to 8.
Okay.
And we have licensed instructors for the kid as well as the caregiver. My mother really suffered in silence when my father went away, and I had 3 younger sisters. I was 7 when it all started. And so had we had a support system in place, had someone been trying to teach us how to make decisions and deal with our emotions,
Right.
because that's that's a lot of trauma for a kid to deal with, which could cause us to be angry and could cause us to be sad and cause us to go through all kinds of emotional issues. And so I wanted to make sure that we were able to teach our kids how to deal with that.
Right.
And as well as the caregiver, because we have some caregivers that, struggling taking care of kids, and so they need a support system as well.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah, and so every Tuesday night we meet for about 2 hours, and we begin to create community.
Okay.
I have a dinner that we provide where they sit down, have some family time together. After dinner, and we sign in and everything, we break off into groups.
Okay.
We have a youth instructor and a parent instructor, and it's also in Spanish.
Good
And
deal.
so, and then we spend about an hour and a half or so, and then we come back together at the end and talk about, some next steps, what we're going to be doing for next week.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So now this program you've been doing for 24 years?
I've been in the ministry for 24 years. PACE, actually, I started PACE in January 3rd of 2001 with 5 kids.
Okay.
Today we are at 6 locations around town. We've provided services for probably over 4,000 participants.
Oh,
That's
wow.
kids, that's siblings, that's
Right.
caregivers,
Right.
and it has been an amazing journey to see transformation. Families that were once dysfunctional now functional.
Mm-hmm.
Kids staying in school, some even gone off to the military, and so I wanted to make sure that we provided these services for our kids and our families across the greater Houston area.
So through you all's program, PACE, it is actually doing a great service here in the city. So are you all funded by the government, the state, city?
Well, what I do, I've had some contracts before to get me started, but I do a lot of raising funds on my own. I have a gala that we do every year. We raise a pretty nice amount of money to take care of what we need to do,
Okay.
and grants. But
Well, ReEntry TV never got an invitation to your gala.
well, effective immediately for the next one, you will, and we would like for you to purchase a table.
But listen, this is what I want you to do.
Yes.
Before we go any further, look into that camera and give them your contact information, your
Yes.
website, so if someone want to donate to your organization, they will have that information.
Absolutely. You can go to our website at www.paceyouth.org. Phone number 713-550-3296. We're currently at First Church Heights, in the Heights at 201 East 9th Street under the leadership. My pastor is Dr. David Harrison. And you can also mail donations to P.O. Box 924424, Houston, Texas 77292.
All right, thank you. So getting back to a little bit that you said earlier, you mentioned about, I don't know how old you were when your father went away. How old were you when that happened to you?
I was 7 years old when my father was sentenced to serve 13 years in Huntsville State Penitentiary.
Okay.
I found myself at that age sitting in a cold courtroom in downtown Houston when it all happened. We didn't know what was going on, and when he entered the courtroom shackled and handcuffed, I was paralyzed. I couldn't move, I couldn't scream, because that was my hero. It was
Right.
my daddy. I'm used to having a mom and dad at home. We
Right.
stayed in they used to call them duplex back then. And I just thought, things were great. And then when that happened, that scene happened so fast in my life that when he walked out of the door handcuffed and shackled, he looked at me like you or me, as though he was telling me to take care of the family. And
At 7.
At 7. Now, if God can make a donkey talk, he can certainly transfer responsibility from one person to another
Absolutely.
if he choose.
Absolutely.
However, without any input from neither one of us. And so a certain weight was upon me, and that weight was the responsibility of being a man, a husband, a wife. I mean, a father, take care of my wife and my children. And I don't remember the ride home, but I do remember when I did get home, I asked my mom, I said, "Mama, where's Daddy?" She said, "Baby, he's in the hospital." I said, "The hospital?" I said, "When is he coming home?" She said, "I don't know." I said, "Well, I'm going to go outside and I'm going to wait for him." And I sat at 3622 Wentworth waiting for him to come home that day, and he didn't come home. And so that was a very traumatic experience for me. And it really changed my life.
Yeah, I can only imagine. So the very anger and the experience that these children of incarcerated individuals are feeling today, you experienced it years ago. So you know how to walk them through
Absolutely.
that entire experience.
Absolutely. And you experience so many different emotions, mostly, negative emotions, anger and bitterness and frustration and sad and all of those. And so we help our kids walk through that process. And I believe that heal people heal people.
Right, right.
I've been healed through it now. I've been around a while. I still have people that help me get through some things that I haven't arrived anywhere but right here. Okay.
I do understand.
And so
that
I still have my own support group because it gets challenging sometimes.
Yeah.
And get a word of encouragement from them to keep moving, keep pressing, and it's been a blessing. And to be here with you today, it really is an honor and a privilege for me. So thank you.
Well, no, thank you for sharing your story and your testimony, not only with me, but with the audience of ReEntry TV, and hopefully someone that is watching the show
Yes, sir.
is in that predicament that will call and especially contact you to take advantage of the services that you have.
Yes.
So how can ReEntry TV help you?
Well, the first thing would be to help me get the message out. One of the things that I've encountered is in this line of work with this population, most of us don't want to talk about it.
Right.
You would think it's people being lazy, but it's really not. It's people who don't want to process that
shame,
that guilt, the stigma that goes with it. I don't want to be identified.
Right.
Church sometimes, look down on us.
Yeah, frown.
And I still say us because I'm still a part of
absolutely,
this.
Absolutely.
And so even though my dad, he did return home after
Great deal.
25 years of being at Ramsey Unit 1, and we reconciled. I hugged him like I was 7 years old all over again.
Yeah.
And I couldn't let him go.
Yeah.
And he died about a year later. But he said, had I not gone, you might not be where you are today. And so that made me feel like my dad was proud of me.
Yeah.
And I just kept moving forward.
Right. Okay. Wow. That's powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's been the grace of God and people, I've got so many people to thank. I can't call all the names because people have heard me over the years talk about, I want to work with people, families that were like mine. God,
Yeah.
I believe, shaped and molded me for such a time as this to work with this population so that we can create and help develop new leaders
Right.
with integrity and honor. Because I've been leading this ministry, like I said, for the last 24 years. And I've learned how to live with and I've learned how to live without.
All right.
But I keep moving forward.
You're going to preach in a
All
minute.
right, and my hands are still on the plow, and I think
Yeah.
I'm more excited about what God is doing with me now than I was when I started.
It's amazing when you're operating in purpose. Huh?
Man, and I just love it.
Yeah.
It makes. I don't want to. I can't cry no more now. I'm grown up a little bit, but
Well, who say a man
look,
can't cry?
But every once in a while, a tear will drop. you know,
Absolutely.
And but now, knowing what I know now and how I can help
Yeah.
change the direction of what's going on, we got to cut the pipeline. Now we can't stop the pipeline,
Right.
but at least we can bend it
Absolutely.
and make it come back to our communities. And these are kids who will be impacted,
One child at a time.
and one family at a time, so
Yeah.
that we could, help them be productive.
So now, just say normally it's dad gone to prison, and the mom is still on this side. So how is it going with that relationship with the mom? Do you get to deal with the parent that is not incarcerated?
Oh, absolutely. That's it was imperative that I had a family component because,
Okay.
like I said, my mother suffered in silence by herself, raising 4 kids,
Mm-hmm.
and she was a school teacher, but never talked about it. And so I wanted to make sure that when this program was developed, that I would have a support system for that caregiver, whether it was a single parent mom or a single parent dad or grandma. Or my grandparents raised me, and I get a lot of grandparents that come
Okay.
who are raising grandchildren.
Right.
And
right.
so today they don't really know all what to do.
Right.
And so to have somewhere to come where everybody has the same issue, nobody is looked down upon.
Right.
We create a community, we create a support group, and I begin to see parents talking afterwards, what y'all gonna do?
Right.
You coming back next week? And so it's imperative to have the family piece so that we can help them, who are suffering in silence.
Okay. All right. I think this is awesome to get this information out because with my background working for TDCJ over 16 years, becoming a lieutenant, being a reserve deputy in DeWitt County and Cuero, as well as here in Houston
Yes.
for a short spell, I definitely understand the need. The need is definitely heavy.
Mm-hmm.
Where we need more help, volunteers, more mentors,
Mm-hmm.
of course, more donation.
Absolutely.
So whatever we could do to get that message out, ReEntry TV would definitely do that. So right here, again, I would like for you to give out your information
Okay.
so they can contact you for a donation to become a mentor, whatever your needs are.
Okay.
If you would look into the camera and give them that information again, your website, phone number, email address.
Yes. Okay, my website is www.paceyouth, PACEYOUTH.org. The phone number is 713-550-3296. You send your donations to our P.O. Box 924424, Houston, Texas 77292, or at our church, it's 201 East 9th Street, Houston, Texas 77007.
And also, somewhere down the line, I would like to, and I know when you're dealing with children, everything is private, HIPAA laws and all of that sort of thing, but the parents, if possible, we would like to talk with some of them and interview
Absolutely.
them, even if we have to come to them
Absolutely.
at one of your sessions.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Just to get their input,
Mm-hmm.
to see how we could do some things better from their perspective.
Yes.
One thing that I've learned over the years is never one-sided.
Yeah.
Because I worked there for 16 years and doing all of that, doesn't mean that I know everything.
Right.
So I always get the input from the other side too, so we can meet in the middle somewhere and
Absolutely.
try to serve this population a whole lot better.
One of the things I've also found out is in our Texas Education Agency, children of the incarcerated are not identified.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm working to add another indicator that will be able to help at least identify our kids who
Yeah,
may
that's
have a
right.
parental incarceration and provide them with some necessary resources that they could use to be productive and not go to prison like this already predicted.
Right. You just introduced the bill, didn't you?
Yes, I did. Yes, I
And
did.
what's the title of that
The
bill?
name of the bill is called Smart Justice Family Support Bill.
Okay.
I think when I met you a couple of weeks ago at the symposium with TSU, I am a graduate from the Anthony Graves Smart Justice Speaker Bureau.
Oh, okay. Great deal.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
thank you. Inaugural program.
Mhm.
Our graduation was May 8th, and I was the only one out of 7 that never went to prison.
Wow.
And so I felt honored to be a part to tell my story,
Mhm.
and they've helped us. The TSU and Mr. Graves helped me to be more clear and concise and compelling with my live story,
Mhm.
and hopefully it'll make a difference somewhere down the line for the generation behind us,
Right.
or even right now.
Right.
And so through that program, I was able to develop that policy brief. And for the first time this year, January 17th, for the first time this year, I went to the Capitol.
Wow.
And I went to,
So how was that experience?
man, it was very, I really don't have the words, because the text says that your gift will make room for you and bring you before great and mighty men. And
Right.
I'm sitting in front of a mighty man that could make a decision that could help me with with what I'm trying to do for families of the incarcerated, and he's carrying the bill.
Great deal.
And so the
man.
bill
That's
has been
awesome.
drafted, and now I'm waiting on the language to come back. And
So what are you expecting to get out of this bill if everything is approved?
if everything is approved, I'm expecting this to go across the nation. And let me
Okay.
tell you why. It's not just Texas,
Okay.
but there's only one other school. There's one state that I've found that really acknowledges children of the incarcerated. I haven't seen that with the other 40, 48, 49 states.
Okay.
And so my plan is, once this is approved, I want to take this across the nation.
Okay.
Because if we got 2.7 million people incarcerated in the United States, and if we had 1 to 2, we're talking about almost another 2.7 million children.
Right.
And,
Right.
and some of them may have 2 and 3 kids, so the numbers could be, 10 million children who are impacted by parental incarceration.
So this bill that you're introducing, the purpose of it is to help identify children of the incarcerated,
Right.
to get special services for them.
Right.
Can you give me a little information
It will
on
also, once they're identified, then we can provide the after-school services for
Okay.
our kids, such as PACE, and other programs that may be working with families of the incarcerated.
that? Right.
And then I want them to put some funding in. And you have a rainy day fund.
Mm-hmm.
Why not a Children of the Incarcerated fund?
Right.
And
right.
fund programs that specifically work with that population, and so that they can continue to provide the necessary
Yeah,
resources.
because it's not the child's fault.
No, it's not.
They just got caught in a situation.
And we shouldn't have to pay for it.
Right. Right.
I think the system should help our kids go to college, get their education. I was a good kid. I didn't get in trouble.
So is all that part of your bill?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. It's included. I know it's going to be a process,
Mhm.
but I have to take one step at a time. And the
Yeah.
first step is to get that indicator added to Texas Education Agency.
So, just being real now, when you start talking about identifying, especially when it comes to children, it may give this negative vibe or connotation.
Absolutely.
I don't want no one to know
No. Absolutely.
that my father, my mom is incarcerated.
Mhm.
So how do you get around that?
Glad you asked that question. One of the things to get around that stigma is, once we add it as an indicator, okay, let's say this. Special needs kids are already identified.
Yes.
Kids on probation, they're already identified.
Yeah. Mental health.
All that's already, they've already got one, so why not?
So you're saying what's the difference?
What's the difference?
Okay.
But here's what I would like to add to that. Because I know the stigma hurts, and I want to protect them as much as possible, because I know about the law, the HIPAA and the other laws that protect. What we do is we add it to the application, to the enrollment package.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying you have to check a box.
Okay.
Maybe you circle family incarceration history, or family history incarceration, drugs, or homeless.
Mm-hmm.
Yes or no. And you have a choice.
Right.
You can either check yes or no, or don't check nothing at all.
Right.
But here's the thing. It's not there now, period. So we want to give people
At
an
least
opportunity.
give them the
Give
option.
them an opportunity.
Yeah.
Give them an opportunity, give them the option. And if they circle yes, then only the principal, the counselor will know.
Okay.
And they will refer.
Okay.
We don't have to tell all the kids. The kids don't have to be
Right.
they will not be notified. Here's another resource that we have available for you that's free to you.
Mm-hmm.
If you want it, here it is. You can make the phone call.
So the parents of the children that is not incarcerated, they are accepting this pretty well from your experience.
Let me tell you what I'm going into schools right now, and it's self-direct now.
Mm.
So what I've done is I've asked them, allow me to pull all your boys together, put them in the gym, and let me talk to them for a minute. I'll tell my story. I'll talk about my experience, and when it's over, they just come out of the bleachers. I want to be a
Wow.
part. I want to be a part. And,
Wow.
and they're friends. It's amazing what I'm experiencing now by just creating the conversation. Let's talk about it, because we talk about everything else.
Right.
We
right.
we talk about Republican, Democrat, LB, all that stuff.
Right.
Why not talk about children of the incarcerated?
Absolutely.
Let's put it on the table. Let's talk about it. Let's see how we can help our children stay out of the system.
Because it's real. I mean, according to statistics, 1 out of every 3rd household has someone in their family incarcerated, whether it be a brother, sister, cousin, nephew, uncle, father, mother, you know, someone. So that's a lot of people.
Yeah, and it is. I think we're on the brink of a miracle. This is what I feel like. I'm already walking in it, because
Right.
every time I go to a school and start talking, it's almost like they go get the main folk, the main brothers,
Mm-hmm.
and most of them are leaders.
Right.
So when the leaders come and they find out, hey, this brother's real,
Yeah.
we identify. Well, you coming back next week? I said, oh yeah, man, I'm gonna bring some pizza with me next week. Go tell the rest of them to come next week.
Right.
And then the crowd keeps growing.
Right.
And so I went from one day I had 23 kids join. Blew me out the water. 23 boys that said, hey, my mom or my dad or both are in prison.
Wow.
I want to be a part of the program.
Wow.
You know, had another one, had like 17 that joined. And they knew each other, but never said anything.
Never
up until that
connected
moment.
the dots.
Now we all connected.
Right.
And now they know that they have somebody that
A
cares.
support system.
And we walk, and I'm walking with them. And I
Yeah.
say, well, look, I got somebody else I like to bring, man, that, you know, can help you. And that's when I start bringing in other team members.
Right.
And
right.
now we can start talking about how to make a decision, how to deal with your anger, how to deal with your emotions. And it's just it's a beautiful sight.
Man.
What I have dreamed of for all these years, and now I'm walking in 24 years later, I get to do it.
Right. Right. And it's nothing like walking in your purpose.
No.
It will be hard for someone else,
Yeah.
but God give you the grace
Yes.
to do what you do. We are here on ReEntry TV. I'm Lieutenant Fizz, and I'm here with Steven Holloway. The program that he has, the PACE Center,
PACE Youth Programs.
PACE Youth Program, is an awesome program, and we are definitely going to be following up with you, Mr. Holloway, to see what we could do to help support that organization, and just to witness some of the testimony that is coming out of there and that will be coming in the future. And we're going to keep up with you concerning this bill that was introduced and help back you on that. So thank you for watching ReEntry TV.
For you, real life, real solution. ReEntry TV, real life, real solution. ReEntry TV.